call this meeting to order.
Alderman McHenry.
Here.
Alderman Luckett.
Here.
Alderman Sarter.
Here.
Alderman Steverson.
Here.
Alderman Floyd.
Here.
Alderman Thompson.
Here.
Alderman Gill.
Alderman Floyd, will you lead us in prayer this evening?
Let us bow. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today, Lord. We thank you for all of your blessings that you bestowed upon us in the city of Pearl, Lord. We just pray that you continue to pour out those blessings on us, Lord, and pray that you would guide us here tonight as we make decisions for the city, Lord. Lord, I just pray for all those that have been affected by storms lately, and I just ask for a hedge of protection around us and our city workers, and I just pray that you'd keep us safe. Father, I just pray now that you would forgive us for where we fail you. There's many, many times that we do fail you, Lord. Just pray that you would grant us mercy and grace, Lord. It's in Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Alderman Gill, will you lead us in the pledge this evening?
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You do that in your best principal voice.
Do it every day.
As you all know, we try to acknowledge city employees, and tonight's no different. And, we try to play the game of getting them here and trying to surprise them. Sometimes they are clueless, and other times they know when the gig's up. So tonight, I want to start with the City Employee of the Month. I would like for Mandy Parsons to come forward. Give everybody a round of applause for Mandy. So as I do at every meeting, I have to brag, even though you probably get tired of me sending you emails all the time. Mandy does an extraordinary job as our office manager in community development. She is able to communicate to the public each day basically what our codes are. She handles not only new things being built, existing permitting, privilege license, all these things, and she does it in a well-organized way, and she has a delightful attitude. She comes in here every day and really, really accentuates the fact of customer service and taking care of our citizens. That's very important to me, and I know it's important to our citizens. So thank you for the job that you do. We're very lucky to have you, very fortunate. I know Brad, he says that he couldn't do it without you, and I know that y'all have a great team over there with Amber and Al Tyndall and Henry as well. So you keep everybody straight. You're kind of the mama hen over there in that particular department. So, yeah, well, you have a good person to learn from as far as leadership is concerned. But is there anything that you'd like to say?
Thank you. I'll make it easy. I mean, we have a good thing here at City Hall. It makes my job all easy.
Thank you very much. I'm going to get you to come over here in front of the seal and get Ms. Kathy to come over here. Brad, you want to bring your crew up? Members here, your department. I know Henry and Al are. We get this mic.
Mandy, I would like to congratulate you on behalf of the Pearl Chamber. We have gotten together a little basket for you. We took one of our swag bags from the fashion show. It's full of jewelry and all kind of smell good things and some snacks and things, candy. And we've also got a $100 gift card to Flawless Boutique. You're welcome.
Before we go any further, I'm going to ask the department head if you'd like to say a few things.
Mandy, she's basically my right hand, she keeps me on track. But you can tell Mandy enjoys her job. It's easy to come to work every day when you enjoy your job. And you can really tell she enjoys it. So we appreciate all you do in our department, and just well deserved. Congratulations.
Okay.
One last time. There's another person that I'd like to highlight tonight. We all, typically we go from month to month and we celebrate the firefighter or the police officer of the month from a public safety standpoint. I talk about this because I feel like I'm very fortunate in these things. I've probably known Mandy Parsons since we were born. She grew up here in Pearl, I did too. And then, you know, this next person I have known my entire life, just about can't remember when I have not known him. And, but he is the firefighter of the month tonight, and he does a tremendous job. I'm gonna get Lieutenant Marty Grant to come up here and stand beside me. I'm gonna read something about you. Well, I'm not gonna read everything I know about you.
Not bad.
But Lieutenant Marty Grant began his career with the Pearl Fire Department on December 1st, 2008. Over the last 12 years, Marty has been a large part of the success of PFD. He can always be counted on to be ready to respond. This attitude is what makes PFD and the city of Pearl the place it is. This readiness does not stop when the uniform is off, and this is evident in Lieutenant Grant's actions. On February 13, 2021, Lieutenant Grant was off work and was heading eastbound on Highway 80 through Brandon on his way to pick up the Valentine's gift for his wife, Marcia. While stopped at a red light, Lieutenant Grant noticed something a little off about the driver of a vehicle crossing over Highway 80. It was then that he recognized that the driver was having a seizure and was not able to operate his vehicle and was rolling out of control through traffic. At this time, Lieutenant Grant's training kicked in and he ran after the vehicle, busting the driver's window out. The door was locked and bringing the vehicle to a complete stop. He then removed the driver from the vehicle, and at that time, he began to render aid to the driver until Brandon Fire and Pafford EMS arrived on scene. Marty is a 1995 graduate of Pearl High School and has completed hundreds of training hours at the Mississippi State Fire Academy. Marty was promoted to the rank of lieutenant on June 24, 2016. He has been married to Marcia Grant for the last 12 years, and they have two sons, Breton and Briggs. We would like to thank Lieutenant Grant for his service to the city of Pearl and everyone else that he encounters on a daily basis. Thank you, Marty.
We have quite a few gifts for you as well from the Pearl Chamber of Commerce. We have a $100 Bass Pro Shops gift card. We have a Cracker Barrel gift basket with a certificate for 2 people to eat. It can be you and your son. You can leave them at home. We have a $25 gift card from Steak and Shake. We have a $25 gift card from Jose's Mexican restaurant. We have a $25 Visa gift card from the Pearl Municipal Federal Credit Union. I'm going to leave somebody out. I'm doing this ad lib because what I'm supposed to be reading is in my copier at work. So, Rebel Hardware donated a stainless steel tumbler that is full of chocolate. And Great American Cookie Company donated a chocolate chip cookie cake. Yay! Yeah, like that. So we're very proud of you. I've known you all of your life as well, and I've always been very proud of you. Thank you.
Let me get the members of the fire department come up here to the sideboard. Not only does Marty do a great job, I think he's well known for doing the best practical jokes at the fire department as well. Wouldn't you say that, with Chief Burks? About talking about Marty and all his practical jokes.
it definitely keeps it light. So,
Yeah, we got this on here. Those are some stories I'd like to tell, but we just for camera time.
I need somebody to move right now. Anyway.
We'll cut you off,
Yeah.
Mark, let's bring the family up here.
Just go on with you and your,
We are missing one old boys that they don't
oh, put the badge on there. I had you all over this can be on Facebook. Did you play baseball games?
You're gonna have to, is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, thank you for everything, and this means a lot, and just want to say thank y'all very much.
Cute, cute. You are a dog.
One last round of applause for Lieutenant Michael.
Approval of consent agenda items. All items under this heading will be considered to be approved with one motion and one vote. If further discussion is desired on any item, it will automatically be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered as a general business item.
So moved.
Second. All right. Is there a second? All right, there's two motions on the floor. Any further discussion concerning the consent agenda? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. For the sake of time this evening, we have quite a few public hearings, so we're going to move to general business and then come back to public hearings. Madam Clerk.
Number one, consider an order to adopt a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Pearl, Mississippi, directing the issuance of $4 million general obligation bonds, Series 2021 of the City of Pearl, Mississippi, for the purpose of raising money to provide for the project described herein, awarding the sale of said bonds, providing certain covenants of said city in connection with said bonds, and directing the preparation, execution, and delivery thereof, ratifying the publication of a notice of bond sale in connection with said bonds, and the distribution of materials related to the sale and issuance of said bonds and for related purposes.
Hey, Nick, before you get started, I just want to make sure that you make it clear to our citizens why we're able to go out and actually advertise and go to market to do another road bond over a 12-year period. We're not going out here from a standpoint or we're being reckless or anything. We're being very prudent, and also our city debt and our finances. And I'd like for you to speak to that before you actually go through the process of the bonds themselves.
Yes, Mayor. So we've worked with here at the city for quite some time, right? Obviously, measuring revenues, expenses of operations to long-term debt to all different aspects, utilities, of all those types of things. And we've measured those for quite some time now and built up a little bit of a history. And more importantly, built up a fairly good projection of where we think the city is financially is going. And so over the past few years, the city, through measures that it's taken, this board, its actions, and its diligence, has taken the credit profile of the city, which had a negative outlook attached to it. We'll talk a little bit about that, and to a positive outlook. And in due time, that credit rating and an opinion of an outside party is continually improving, and is consistently giving us really good feedback based off of the financial status of the city and where it is today. And a lot of that is based off of making smart decisions and spending a lot of time thinking about some of those critical things that you're asked to do. And so this next resolution that's on here today is considering another phase of continuing to do road work inside of the city of Pearl. And so we have built this to structure it as such that it would fit within the profile of the city's current finances. It stays within the millage levels that exist today. It lives in the cash flow. that exists today, and it doesn't require anything or any burden on any fund that the city currently has financially. And it's only, not just this, but the forecast that we have for the city and its finances is looking really, really well, right? Definitely going in the right direction. And this just fits in there nicely with the status of where y'all are today. So today we've received 4 bids in response to the advertisement for the $4 million general obligation bond. One of those 4 bids was from North Carolina, and it was not conforming, so that one was not included in the bid today. But that's one measure of importance, right? Of folks not just here in the state of Mississippi, other states are interested in buying a piece of what Pearl has to offer. So if that doesn't tell you that you've been doing a really good job, I don't know what else more you would really need from that, right? Just to know that you're definitely on the map, right? As people are interested in what you're offering. So the first bid that received was the People's Bank of Biloxi, and the interest rate was a 1.75. Second bid came from Bank First, and that rate was a 1.89580. And the third bid was received from Trustmark at a rate of 2.15. And so we would, I would recommend that the award would go to the People's Bank of Biloxi at that rate of 1.750. And earlier, Mr. Payton brought up a really great point about the issuance that was in 2019, the short-term note. That rate was a 1.72, 73, I think it was, right? And so you're right on top of that. That was a 2-year note. This is a 12-year note. So there's obviously a comfortability about buying into the city of Pearl and its finances, and just can't reiterate enough on the future financially looks really, really good. Looks really bright for the city. And Spence?
Yes, thank you. I just would second that, Mayor and Board. 1.75%, wow, that doesn't just happen. And the reason it's happened is because of y'all's hard work, hard decisions, and diligence over the last several years to get to the point where they're going to give you a 1.75% interest rate. It's because they believe in Pearl and they believe in the economic outlook, and that wouldn't have happened a few years ago. So that's really a testament to the turnaround y'all have done here and your whole team, and Brendan and Kelly, and just like my partner Peyton Prosper said, that 1.75 is incredible. So wanted to note that. And on this issue for this bond, we're going to do some things to save on some costs that we can cut out, an underwriter and a placement agent, because like Nick said, when you put it out for bid, you're getting bids from a broad base of banks, including from North Carolina. And again, that doesn't just happen. It happened because of y'all's hard work, and people believe in Pearl. So I'll turn it back over to Nick.
Thank you, Spence.
So I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if anybody's got anything.
What was non-conforming about the North Carolina one?
So under, the attorneys probably answer this question better than I can, but under state law, general obligation bonds must accompany a good faith check. And so the 3 bids received today were accompanied with a good faith check. That bid from North Carolina did not. So that means that it would not be able to be accepted in the stance that it is. So the check for the winning bid, you would retain that check, and then you would hold on to it contingent upon closing and stuff like that. So it's just it's a state law requirement that every bid, public offered bid, must accompany a good faith check.
What was their rate?
I don't recall. I didn't look to see what it was. Couldn't award it if we wanted to. Yeah. Mr. Payton?
Yes.
It was over 2? Okay.
So this was still the lowest.
Just to stress again, from our city debt standpoint, we're still going to be generating and growing a fund balance. This is not going to put so much pressure on we're depleting those funds. You feel confident of that? We've already looked at that, and could you just stress that again as we have some other projects we're trying to forecast in the future. So I just want you to have a conversation about that.
Right, which is perfect, right? So in the mayor and the board's plan, and some of the things that were put forth was future needs, fire stations, additional road work, purchase of police cars, a lot of different, community aspects were brought up. And so there was placeholders that I put into that model to kind of benchmark those things sometime in the future. Some of those things I didn't put in until 8 years down the road, but it's important to include that at some point and measure the amount of cash in, the cash out. And so all of those things could be accomplished in the future, even with this included in that. So all those things were thought out, were contemplated, were written in, were measured, just to make sure that there was always going to be a form of liquidity in form of cash here, and more importantly, that the general fund would have a volume of cash, and it's growing. That balance is getting bigger and bigger every single year. And then the debt service side is holding where it needs to hold. It's generating a cash, it's making those payments. And so all those projects and all those thoughts and all those things were all included into, what's not necessarily what's happening right now, what's happening at least 4 years from now and beyond was included in that analysis. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Nick. Any more questions of Nick? All right, what's consideration of the board?
Motion approved, second.
All right, it's two motions on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. Motion carries 6-1. Thank you, Nick, Spence, and Peyton for your work on this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Number 2, consider request by Weinberg to accept the preliminary plat for Magnolia Point subdivision.
Lon, would you come up and address the board, please?
My name's Lon Burt with Benchmark Engineering and Surveying. I'm here on behalf of Scott May, the developer for Magnolia Point subdivision off of Old Whitfield Road in the city of Pearl. The subdivision has approximately 49 lots, and we're here tonight to ask for your consideration and approval of the preliminary plat.
Just to make sure that we're in compliance with our city ordinance on our minimum square footage, these houses are going to be built at 1,800 square feet?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
All right.
So moved.
Average lot size is a quarter acre.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. That was quick. Lon?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Have a good evening. All right, this time before we move forward, if any of the department heads would like to leave, I addressed them in the work session, asking them if they would like to leave because of family engagements, if they could do so. But if they'd like to stay, that's fine. This public hearing section is going to be probably pretty long tonight. All right. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Number 1, consider adopting amendments to the City of Pearl Code of Ordinances, Section 40902, rental housing utilities, and Section 707, non-conforming signs.
I'm going to let our city attorney, Brendan Sarton, explain what this first public hearing actually addresses for the city.
All right, 2 things. The first would be the non-conforming signs. It would be adding a condition that the board will ultimately consider design guidelines that are being developed. It's an or, so the current stat ordinance would stay in place, but once those guidelines are adopted, there would be the community development's position that they could follow those guidelines and put a 1-year conformity period on that. So bringing in all signs in compliance within that year. Second would be utilities, which would be a requirement for all residential occupants and rental properties to be in the owner's name. This would allow the inspections to be current. It's just an issue. Right, excuse me, in the tenant's name, not the owner. That's the problem. So it'd be in the occupant's name or the tenant's name. But the way these are both not issues. These are both issues that were other cities throughout the county have done, and we're following in line and making sure that there's some conformity between all of us and addressing needs of community development.
The only thing that bothers me is, like Alderman Gill said, on our businesses, you know, they're coming out of COVID, they're trying to recover from that. Obviously, they had a burden during that time. 1 year to come in line with this might be a little tight.
You want me to respond, Mayor?
Yeah.
All right, so I get it, and I get ultimately the conformity. I don't think it's unreasonable giving someone a year to come into compliance considering we're coming out of. But you're asking the same requirements to those new businesses that are being opened within the city currently. So a new business that comes into the city, invests in the city, is going to come into compliance with your ordinance. So you're asking these new businesses who are startups, most likely, probably self-funded or small business loan funded, to come into compliance with the ordinance. And this is going to give the existing business, who hopefully has a longevity and a threshold of what their revenue is they can properly plan for becoming into a line as well. I hope that answers.
Can we vote on these separately? It's two different subjects.
It is. I mean, you can make the motion to approve one, and someone can make the motion to approve the other if you want to vote on it.
How many
separately.
businesses is this going to be affecting, Brad? So how many businesses is this going to affect sign-wise?
Pretty much all business. 90%.
So 90% of all businesses in the city are going to conform their sign usage.
I suggest we do separate it, because
I would probably say half and half, or, you see a lot of shallow letters, you see like plastic signs, that sort of thing. I'd probably say around half.
And but the issue is too here is that a lot of these people are coming in conformity and doing the right thing and making things look nice to have the continuity that other cities around us have done, Florence, Brandon, Richland, and we're just trying to get some consistency, because if you go look at a building, you'll have 3 different signs on that building, and most of the time, the people will go outside the city to get those signs not to be in compliance with us. So it creates a community development nightmare for Brad himself. He has to go back retroactively, go enforce those things when people don't conform to the ordinances in place. As I said before, other cities around us, when they do this, they do it retroactively immediate. Ours is over a year period. And, I think there's considerations in there when you talk about some of these businesses. If you go to one, and I think we do it every day when we're talking to them, we give our businesses the benefit of the doubt, give our citizens the benefit of the doubt on working with them. I don't think that there's something we're going to come in there and say to that particular person, hey, look, if I got a down month or I'm having a hard time making ends meet, we're not going to add insult to injury. We're going to work with them and give them the timeline. We're just trying to set some type of standard. We don't think 5 years would be too much, but a year would actually give us some type of applicable or achievable timeline itself.
Do we have any design guidelines or anything we can go by, whether it's got to be a certain channel letter or lighted or?
So Brendan talked about the fact that Jamie Ware, our architect, is coming up with guidelines that are consistent with the other cities around us that we're going to be able to attach to this ordinance itself in our zoning. So we're going to have an or section.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Brendan. You might want to elaborate on that a little bit.
Essentially, the ordinance has regulations for signs. I mean, and that's what it has it has a height, size, square footage of existing building, and that's built into the ordinance now. What this adds is ultimately once Jamie gets done with this, much like we were talking about during the work session, you're going to have a visual go-to that they can go to the business and say, hey, this is what the sign needs to look like. It's a visual example, not just some words on a piece of paper trying to explain it to them. They can say, no, this is what your sign needs to look like, this is why. And so those guidelines will be adopted, but until that y'all adopt any of those guidelines, the existing ordinance stays in place. And it would still have that option too, because it's a or is what you're adding, is community development has the, if once y'all adopt them in the future, if you adopt them in the future, then you go forward.
I just don't want to give the perception of us punishing folks that have been in the city for 50 years doing business, and we make them change their sign in a year. I don't want that. I don't want to have that.
I'll say any new business effective immediately, any existing business, 2 years. Conform.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's 2 motions on the floor. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, so we have a 2, it's 5-2. All right, motion carries.
Compliance. So that would be the second. Are they going to entertain? Is there going to be another motion?
Yeah, that's right. What about the utilities?
So moved.
All right, it's first by Alderman Henry.
Second on that.
Second, Alderman Gill. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Moving on.
Number 2, consider request by Jason Henry for a dimensional variance to allow him to build a 1,500 square foot metal shop on his property located at 261 Ludlow Road.
All right, is Mr. Henry here tonight?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Henry, could you come forward and address the board, talk about the structure that you're talking about building?
I don't really know. I know Brad can tell you I was clueless as the day is long when I came in trying to find out what I would need to do, but I was more or less a lifelong Brandon resident, and I've got a business that this property I just purchased was convenient for my business. So I bought based on the property size and the location. Pretty much saw the house come up for sale, and there was an offer in. I had about 4 hours to make a decision if I wanted to purchase, and I did because I'd been looking for the right size lot to build where I'd have space to build a shop. My dad lives a quarter mile from me and has a shop there, and so more or less my lifelong dream has been able to have a shop, because I've always worked out of his. It was convenient because he and I would be close together, but we wouldn't have to share space. And so essentially, I don't want an eyesore there, but I need enough space to, I mean, there's nothing commercial about it. It's storage and kind of a man cave, more or less, but 1,500 square feet would, preferably I'd have bigger, but I don't want to get carried away and get too big, but that would give me enough space to do what I'd like to do, and I'm not wanting to put anything there that's an eyesore. I want to have like the glass roll-up garage door style like you see at Buffalo Wild Wings or something. I want it to be a nice looking shop. But I mean, we know materials and stuff right now, so bricking it or something like that would just drive the cost up quite a bit. And so metal siding was my best option. So I was seeking a variance in terms of size and metal siding. And I do have a metal shop across the street from me. And then if you just round the corner on the lake shore, there's another metal shop right there. And so there's several in the vicinity. So like I said, I'm clueless with this. I made a move based on the having the ability and the room there to do what I was hoping to do, and I moved out of Brandon when this became available. And I kind of looked at my surroundings. I'd done some preliminary research beforehand in Pearl, but I didn't have accurate information, so I bought on a whim, and here I am asking for approval in order to build that. And if there's any issues or concessions or anything I need to look into to make it work and fit, what neighbors. I've talked to several of my neighbors, and I hadn't come across anybody with an issue, but I'm a little bit clueless as to where to go or what to do.
But tonight you're asking for 2 variances. You're asking on size and you're asking for metal.
Yes, sir.
So is there concessions on size, or is there concessions on conforming to building materials that would be consistent to your home?
Building materials. I mean, size-wise, I came down on size from what I would really like. But, you know, there might be a little bit of room there I could navigate with, but building materials, I'm open to discussion. You know, just, I don't want to move again. It's convenient location, I like it, it feels like home, and I want to be there, but I also, you know, want to hopefully be able to do what I've been wanting for the last 10 or 15 years, and finally put myself in a spot where I had space to do it. So I'm open to y'all's thoughts.
How many acres is your property?
It's about 1.7.
You got any covenants out there?
Not that I'm aware of. This house has been there for decades and decades. And like I said, there's a metal building across the street from me, and there's no covenants that I'm aware of, and it's not on any main road. It's kind of a cut-through road.
None of your neighbors have any opposition to it?
Not anybody I've spoken to, and if I think Brad may have spoken to, I mean, and the ones I've talked to were fine. My next door neighbor has known my grandfather for 40 plus years, and he was good. The guy behind me, Randy, I know him through business, and then the guys across the street, a lot of the people in the area, they shop with me and stuff, and I've kind of got a personal relationship with all of them, and I don't know anybody that would have any opposition from who I've spoken to.
But your office did not receive any opposition?
We called everyone that we could reach within 300 foot radius of the property, and no one was in opposition.
Okay. All right. Any more questions? Mr. Henry here?
You're not going to be doing any commercial work out of it?
Oh, absolutely not. No, sir. It's hobby and man cave.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Brad, can you come up?
Yeah, like I say, across the road, there is one metal shop. You know, it's probably been there 30 plus years, probably, just by me going out there. I've always noticed that one shop. But I mean, as far as the metal, or, you know, I think per our ordinance, we need to stick with a conforming residential material, square footage. I think we need to stick with our current ordinance. Would be my recommendation.
All right. Thank you, Brad. Is anyone here to speak in opposition to this? Okay.
I make a motion that we let him build a metal shop out there.
All right, there's one motion on the floor. Is there a second?
May I ask a question? Because there's two. Does that include the square footage he's requesting as well?
Yes.
All right, that's the motion to approve both variances on the metal and the square footage exceeding our ordinance. Is there a second?
I'll just say this, we okayed one right down the road, twice as big as this one, more than twice as big last time.
Second.
No, there's discussion. Now, some of this to add, just to be fair to the people in the room, about this building that was down the road that was 45 by 65. Nobody opposed it, nobody could see it. So David, I think the whole story needs to be told on it. It was on the back of a lot on 6 acres too. So you can't even see it from the road. Nobody can view it at all. All right, with that being said, is there any additional discussion with their two motions on the floor? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
All right. Let me start over here. It's hard to understand everybody. Let's roll call. Start with Casey.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
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 What was that?
What?
3.
It's 4-3 at this time, so
Yes, 3%.
do what?
No, I'm making notes, sorry.
All right, the motion carries this time.
Number 3, consider request by Jimmy and Beverly Walker for a dimensional variance to allow him to build a 1,200 square foot metal shop with an 8-foot overhang on their property located at 2015 Oak Ridge Drive.
All right, Mr. Walker, would you please come forward?
At this time, if it pleases the board, I'd like to remove the request for variance from metal. Standard building materials approved by the city for housing. That way it matches everything available in the area and has a more aesthetically pleasing look. I would like the 1,200 square foot, but I am open to negotiations. Let's talk about it. You know, I don't mind coming down a little bit if I have to. 1,000 square foot?
I think that's something that probably needs to be set forth in plans and not made here in the board meeting tonight.
Yeah, you know.
I think there might be a motion to continue, and you and Brad get with neighbors to talk about that.
Be glad to, sure.
So, I mean, if you're asking for 2 variances tonight, they're exceeding, and that's the metal.
Remove the metal,
Remove the
please.
metal, then you're talking about conforming, and then you're talking about coming into negotiating square footage. But I think that those will be something that would probably need to be detailed out more so, instead of trying to flesh that out in a board meeting tonight.
Exactly, that's why I'm here, yeah.
To continue.
Before we do that, I know that there are some people here tonight to speak for this. Since they have got out in the rain, I think we at least let them speak if they want to speak to that.
Second. All right, so he's got a first and second, so just because these folks are here, we're going to let them come up during discussion time and talk about it, okay, Mr. Walker? All right, thank you. If you live on Oak Ridge Drive, if you'd like to come up and address the board and talk about...
Casey, does your motion include a date certain? Can we continue it to a date certain?
Sure.
Next meeting?
That's fine.
June 1?
That's fine.
All right. So just for clarity, that motion is for June 1. Mr. Smith, you come forward and address the board.
Mr. Mayor, Board of Aldermen. I'm Danny Smith. My wife and I live at 2007 Oak Ridge Drive, which is next door to said property to Mr. Walker. I, along with other residents on Oak Ridge Drive, come before you to state we oppose the 1,200 square foot metal building that our neighbor, Mr. Walker, wants to build. I have a petition with majority of Oak Ridge Drive homeowners opposing the 1,200 square foot metal building, which that is a mighty large building in anyone's backyard for sure. I was not able to collect all signatures due to sickness and some people sickness and out of town, but they did express their opposition to this being built. Mayor, you and each of the Board of Aldermen should have a copy of the petitions in your packet. Most homeowners on our street have a garage or storage building of some kind, including Mr. Walker. However, Mr. Walker is wanting to add to a larger building, a 1,200 square foot metal building. This size is the size of a lot of patio homes in the city of Pearl. It would be basically having a large second home in his backyard. In addition to the size of the building, it is my understanding that Mr. Walker wants to build an 8-foot porch all the way across the front property of this building with an additional new driveway. If this building was built, everyone going down Oak Ridge Drive could see this building as large as it is. This 1,200 square foot building will take away from our real estate value neighborhood itself. Including in your packet, you will also find copies of covenants and pictures from my backyard, street view, and also locations of said property building in the next lot. Not only would this building be a violation of our covenants, but also this would be all we would see in our backyard, and Mrs. Dentley, which is joining property on the next side, would see in their backyard, which also is highly opposing. Of course, all the neighbors in 300 foot adjoining property have opposed this building, and also their signature plus other people in the neighborhood. Also, this building would be visible driving down Oak Ridge Drive. One of the reasons we bought our house on Oak Ridge Drive was the land and privacy that we have now. Oak Ridge Drive is a cul-de-sac with 19 beautiful homes, acreage, and large trees. And that's one thing that sold us on that neighborhood. And we moved in Oak Ridge Drive in 1980, in the early 80s. Of course, we came to Pearl in the early 70s, been here quite a while. A 1,200 square foot metal building would take away from a neighborhood and present itself more like a commercial area in the back. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak, and I would like to ask the Mayor and Board of Aldermen to dismiss this proposed variance requested by Mr. Walker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, I don't know if you heard Mr. Walker. He's talking about trying to bring the building in compliance outside being metal, not being metal, and using material of the home and reducing the square footage size. That's a lot of information to try to unpack in a board meeting when you're talking about trying to get consistent with how his house looks and then reducing square footage. I think that we would probably be here all night trying to talk about that subject. So he has made one concession. He's supposed to get with community development and talk about bringing down that square footage. And it's been, well, there's two motions on the floor. We're in discussion phase at this time, and we'll vote on it to continue it June 1st. Okay, sir?
Okay.
All right. Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition? Stenley?
Yes, sir. When Sandra Roberts sold the home next door to me, she told me that they didn't like the layout of the home, but they liked acreage because he wanted to make a shop to work on his cars. And that's what I was going by. I don't know. I don't like that idea, you know.
So you're objecting to the metal building and the square footage of the building?
Yes, sir.
And you live next door to him?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right next.
I don't know if you...
And they did not reach out to me. They didn't try to.
Okay. Well, this is not a courtroom, so I don't want to get into a courtroom setting, but
they did.
What we do have here is, just like I told Mr. Smith, is that he's agreed to not have it metal and talk about a reduction in square footage. So he would be possibly bringing compliance. Again, that's too much to unpack in a board meeting. That's something that needs to be worked out with community development with fine-tooth comb. So I appreciate you coming here tonight and saying your piece, and we'll certainly be in touch with you about it. This is going to, if the board does vote, it's going to be addressed and readdressed on June 1st.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else here to speak in opposition? All right, that closes the discussion. Since we have two motions on the floor, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Number 4, determine whether or not that certain parcel of real property owned by R.K. Jenkins Sr. and located at 109 Kennon Place, Pearl, Rankin County, Mississippi, 39208 is in such a condition or state as to be unsightly and unkept or otherwise a menace to the public health and safety of the community, and therefore prohibited pursuant to Chapter 24 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pearl, Mississippi, and Section 21-1911 of the Mississippi Code of 1972 as amended.
Is Mr. Jenkins here tonight? Okay, all right. Would you ladies come up, please, and address the board? I believe this is 109 Kennon Place. And the city has set this for demo. If you would just address the board what your concerns are about us setting this public hearing and proceeding into the Section 21, 1911 demolition process.
Yes, sir. We have made a lot of improvements around the area. We have hired someone to come in and remove all the tires and all the stuff, the debris that was around the property, and it has been cleaned up.
What about structurally of the residence itself?
It's still standing, it's in good condition, it's not, meaning it's not.
Who was it that you hired? Was it a structural engineer?
He did houses, but he said he was gonna come back and look inside and, let us know. So he said on the outside, it looked good.
And it's a family home. It's a family home, and it is on air property. So we did, like I said, hire someone to come in and clean up the area. And when I called, they said that, it was their understanding that, the home would not be tore down. They just wanted us to try to bring it into compliance. And we have, had someone to come in and remove all the debris and everything around there, so.
Okay.
Has anybody lived in the house now?
No.
How long has it been since someone's been in the house?
Every year, he had a stroke, so he had to stop working. It took him a year to, start recuperating and everything,
So what's your intent with the house now? What's the intent with the house now?
Someone in the family has said that they would like to try to get in the house, get it redone, remodeled.
He did the floors and the walls, so you can, build it up from, it was, going in and he rebuilt the floor.
He put a lot of money in the house, but he had a stroke, so we have another family member that said they would like to remodel the house.
Brad, when was this picture taken?
It was taken back in March. The first set of pictures, the second set you probably can have is yesterday. The pink house and the tires.
That was yesterday?
I got some pictures from when we first noticed the property back in March. You want to see it?
Has there been any improvement from March till now?
I'm sorry.
Has there been any improvement from March till now?
We might have cleaned up a little. We still got in-office vehicle on the property. We got,
Is that the white SUV with the tires outside?
Yeah, he's gonna get that off there. He's got a hay, he's gonna get the gears of tires with tires down. So he's gonna move it.
He's the one that had the stroke, so he's trying to get back on his feet and get all that done.
they cleaned up the property. That vehicle's still there.
But the vehicle runs.
We got brand new houses that should be
The
built.
siding on the house looks like it's in bad shape.
No, this is silver. These are phase 2 of silver.
It looks like it's still there.
Right next to it, it's gonna be in somebody's backyard.
As of yesterday, it was up.
Does it look any different than this?
I can't see.
We noticed the property in March.
And we got all this, start raining, so we couldn't do nothing right now. But it was trees and the side, all that thing,
This is what bothers me. They come out and notice the house in March.
That it was going to be demolished.
And now we're in May, and it's still not completed. That's the part that bothers me. I mean, how long is it gonna take you?
Well, every time we get someone out there, start raining, so we don't, that's what I'm saying, that we got all the trees and the bushes and the tires.
We paid someone, a professional to come out. It was like a lot of stuff.
But ma'am, you got to understand, what is the house worth to you? Is the house worth anything to you?
That's my grandmother's house.
I understand, but if you want to keep standing, the good faith gesture would be to help clean it up and get a lot of that stuff and debris cleaned up, the outside cleaned up, the toilet picked up from the outside. I mean, that's all just sitting out there.
Yes, sir, I know, but, you know.
We got all that stuff up. I don't know. He's saying the picture was taken, what you say, sitting out there?
Yesterday, the picture was taken yesterday.
But I mean, the house is in a state of disrepair. It's neglected. There's
If you would, ma'am, stand at the mic so people can hear you.
Yeah, I can't hardly hear what you.
Like I say, the cleanup, the trash and debris, it has been cleaned up.
And that's what we're working on, sir.
The repairs on the exterior.
Well, we still got a lot of stuff on the back that we still
We still working on everything. Like I said, we hired someone and the family has came together. So we've been working like for the past 4 weekends, trying to get everybody together to clean it up. Because we paid a professional to have it done. I have the receipt on my phone. We paid $1,000 to have the cleanup done. So we are trying. I mean, we haven't just been just sitting around doing, and calling around to see who wants the home. And we found out my cousin would like to remodel the home.
Well, this is my recommendation to you, because there's some structural issues on the house, the outside. The outside's not in compliance, and it's going to take some pretty serious money to get the place where it needs to be. Now, this is what I'm going to warn you against, and I've said this before in a public hearing. There's been, personally from a family standpoint, I've had family homes where you hold on to it because it's nostalgic, because it means something to you. But at the same time, you can't hold on to a residence so long where if you don't put the money back into it, it falls down around itself. There might be a consideration from your family members to say, hey, we sell the residence so somebody could bring it back into conformity. And then you look at it like this. You have another family go in there and they say can make the great memories that someone else did or you guys did at a recent period. But you just don't need to get so far down the road where you can't bring this back in compliance, and don't let your emotions control you because it's a family home. The reason we enforce these ordinances is because you have houses all around you where that's their main investment. That people wake up every day going to work trying to make money in order to pay for their home. And so this is not y'all's primary home, but other people around it is their primary home, and they have the greatest probably investment in their life that they're paying for every month. And this doesn't provide any type of value to it, the way it sits right now. I'm going to let Brad come up. I know you ladies have talked to the board, but I'm going to let Brad come up and with his construction background, address what he's seeing outside of the cleanup aspect. You guys have made some effort there, but I want to see from a construction standpoint, what he thinks it's going to take to bring this house in conformity. If you would, if you ladies could, just have a seat right there, please. That way you don't go all the way across the room.
Yeah, as y'all have seen the pictures, I mean, as far as the exterior of the home, you're probably looking at all new siding around. You look around, you might have a little seal right around the exterior, around the outside, but it would take a.
You haven't been inside the house, have you, Brad?
I hadn't been inside the home. Yeah, I sure hadn't.
Did you say when you got up there showing her that picture that trash had been picked up?
That trash, yeah, some of it has been. Pretty much the trash has been picked up.
Is the house still?
We got, but this is a property that's adjacent to Phase 2 of Silver Ridge. This is fixing to be brand new homes, backyards right here. This is another, we need to look at that.
Y'all said the gentleman that owns the home is still alive?
Yeah, he's still recuperating.
Who's R.K. Jenkins Sr.?
He's a deceased.
So R.K. Jenkins Sr. is the title owner of it. There's not an estate been opened, so it's strictly heir property. So the gentleman living with it may be tenant in common with some other folks, but y'all have not done anything to open an estate or transfer the property to someone else, correct?
Right.
Okay.
How long do you think it's gonna take him to recuperate? Before he can come up here?
That, I don't know, he was gonna come, but I don't know what happened, I don't know, he got tied up at work, or what happened, but he just went back to work, and like I said, somebody else in the family just said that they wanted to take the property and bring it up, like remodel. So I don't know, I mean, I'm just going based on what I've been told, they want to do the work and bring it, make it look good and stay in themselves. So he's not able to do that anymore because he still recuperating.
Brad, what's your recommendation to the board, Brad?
I would recommend, the board give them a recommended time to bring the property into compliance or remove the structure from the property.
So, adjudicate 21/19/11 with a time frame listed? Wait, let's determine the time frame.
60, well,
What do you,
60 or 90?
I say 60.
All right.
Because they've been noticed since March. I mean, we give them since March to make some major
Like
moves.
you said, it's been raining too now.
Yes, it has been raining, we did have.
But 60 days, they can show us some good faith in 60 days.
I'd rather give them
Yeah, we can relook at it, 60 days.
So we have okay, so let's say you amend your motion, so it's going to adjudicate it 21/19/11 and give them 60 days to bring the property into compliance. And Brad, you're going to do, you're going to go by and make sure that you see some progress, and this also gives you some time to get into the dry season for construction to get some of these things done, okay? And I would like to say that before, to just, I try to provide some type of wisdom as far as the property goes. Don't let it go so long where you don't provide a possible place for someone else to utilize. You see what I'm saying? And keep in mind also, within those 60 days, you got other homeowners around you that's the largest investment in their life, and they're trying to make sure that they're taking care of their home and paying for it. So, well, there's a motion on the floor by Alderman Thompson, a second by Alderman Gill. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Mayor, may we get their names?
Yes. Mandy, do me a favor, will you mind getting these ladies' names so we can get good contact information so we can communicate? Thank you. Ladies, the lady back here in the back, Mandy Parsons, she's our office manager, community development. If you would see her before you leave, that way we can make sure that we communicate correctly with one another, all right? Thank you.
Number 5, determine whether or not that certain parcel of real property owned by Naomi Beverly located on George Kirsch Road, Pearl, Rankin County, Mississippi, 39208 is in such a condition or state as to be unsightly and unkept or otherwise a menace to the public health and safety of the community, and therefore prohibited pursuant to Chapter 24 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pearl, Mississippi, and Section 21/1911 of the Mississippi Code of 1972 as amended.
Is anyone here to speak on behalf of this parcel? Property owned by Naomi Beverly and located on George Kirsch Road. Brad, would you come forward, please, and tell us about this public hearing?
Yeah, this is a vacant lot, is what it is. They have made, some significant headway on cleaning the property. They had a lot of just stuff stored on the property. James, you probably seen, they have made some, but we've come this far, let's don't stop now. We got a camper and a truck and a shed still on the property. And I think it also needs to be removed.
All right, what's the recommendation to proceed with 21/19/11?
Right, yes, sir.
All right.
So moved.
Well, is there anyone here to speak in opposition? All All right, so there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? There's two motions. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Number 6, determine whether or not that certain parcel of real property owned by Clinton and Kathleen Timms and located at 5235 Highway 80 East, Pearl, Rankin County, Mississippi, 39208 is in such a condition or state as to be unsightly and unkept or otherwise a menace to the public health and safety of the community, and therefore prohibited pursuant to Chapter 24 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pearl, Mississippi, and Section 211911 of the Mississippi Code of 1972 as amended.
All right. Is anyone here representing property at 5235 Highway 80 East?
Yes, hi.
Ma'am, would you state your name?
Kathleen Timms and Clinton Timms.
Clinton Timms, okay. All right, I'm sorry.
Okay, the house, I don't know if y'all have pictures or not, but it's quite a distance off the road. It is a vacant home. We purchased the property, about 4 or 5 years ago. I do have a police report where it was vandalized. I did come and, whatever you do up here, sign and press charges. Nothing was ever done by the City of Pearl.
You filled out a facts and circumstance.
Pardon?
You filled out a facts and circumstance.
I've got...
Or did you sign charges on individuals? Whereas with juveniles?
And here's the little
Did you
card
sign
that-
charges on juveniles, ma'am?
Pardon?
Did you sign charges on somebody, or did you just receive a case number?
I signed charges.
Okay. All right, I'm just trying to clarify that.
But anyway...
All the windows out of the house, swung from the ceiling fans.
And
very nice and livable.
And I did get estimates on the damage, turned it in, but besides that, of course, we've had a lot of storms this year. Our daughter passed away in March, so we have been keeping the grass cut. I don't think we've had any complaints before this. We had not gotten to clean up the yard this year, which we normally do. I don't know where Brad, if he's got new pictures, but we have spent, 3 days or more?
Yeah, it's been 3 weekends. I took my dozer up there and we,
There was a
cleaned up all about 9 dumpsters and junk that people had thrown out around there. 3 to the dumpster and 4 to the burn pile, just debris.
Now, there was a shed that had like a lean-to on the back, and part of it had fallen I guess, over the winter. We have disposed of that and gotten rid of it off the property.
Can I ask a question? What is y'all's plan for the house?
We bought the property.
We have about 60 acres right in there. That goes from 80 to 20, a long stretch across the back and across the front. Actually, my daughter's going to probably put a...
Well, wait a minute. We bought that for frontage because the other property had it was 55 feet leeway. And in other words, if we decided to sell to a business or whatever, we needed a larger entryway. That's why we purchased that property.
So, we're going to put somebody in it until all this happens. And where do you live, sir? I live in Brandon. Yeah. So would you want that in front of your house in Brandon? The way it looks right now? I think it's a beautiful place. I look at it every time. I just heard every excuse in the world about why you hadn't been over there to clean it up, but doesn't.
Well, it's, yeah.
Well, the other thing, Alderman Gill, I just want to say something. One thing that does concern me is the fact that you bring out dumpsters full of trash and things like that. Hold on, ma'am, let me finish talking. So it's, to me, it's not like you ride around houses in that particular area and everything's unkept and trash is in houses. So to me, that is not going by there and looking at the residents or taking care of. It's an investment property for you guys. Right. It's 60 acres, but I don't think that y'all have done your due diligence on going by the house routinely to get that type of trash. Y'all made one police report on a malicious mischief. How many more police reports over a 5-year period, and y'all have not attempted to try to put a renter in the house? So I don't understand.
That much damage is done to something. They busted the sheetrock off the walls. I got no help from the Pearl Police Department. That made me want to throw my hands in and just say, look. Well, it looks like you did in so many words. You just threw your hands up.
That's right.
Maybe now somebody will see
as a taxpaying person here in this county, that something can be done. When the police can't catch them, we had to get the place next door to call, and they just happened to write the tag number down. My wife gives them all the information, and absolutely nothing has been done. Nothing, nothing's been done.
And all we're asking you to do is go check on your property and make sure that it's not dirty and clean and unkept. That's a very easy thing to request.
It is.
From the highway, you couldn't even see, it. Like, the trash came out of the shed. All the plastic and everything, most of the trash. We cut limbs down so you could walk under everything. That was in the dumpster. We trimmed hedges. We weed-eated. That's what filled. As far as the front of the property, if Brad has pictures, there wasn't trash from the road. You didn't see anything. It was basically in the back by the shed. Now, we do have some metal that we hauled off the top of the you got it out of there? Okay, that we still needed to haul out of there.
So what are your plans for the house now?
Right now, it looks like, well, I'll let you tell me, Kathy.
Well, it's actually my son-in-law was going to bring somebody by there to check and make sure as far as the structure, if termites have gotten into it, whether it was structurally sound, to do something with or not. That was the first step. I don't know if he mentioned that this weekend. I don't know if he's had that done or not. My daughter wanted to have a Christian facility put there, like a clinic for women. Like women who have been abused by husbands, or women in need that need to get on their feet. And it would be a Christian-based clinic. That's her dream.
You realize with that will come a whole nother set of codes that you'll have to do to the structure, to bring it into compliance.
Which that would be, at first off, see if we were structurally sound, the termites, and then, of course, and our son-in-law is completely serious. He is in Pearl, and I'm sure he met with y'all on the signs too, having a business in this city.
Brad, you got pictures? It's right next to Oak Ridge subdivision?
Yeah.
It's
Behind
behind Honest Cafe and Line-X.
Okay.
What, the house is right there between Bill's Produce and...
And I didn't tear the fence down because I see if you're at that house, you're looking over.
You're gonna see a mess.
It's you're looking to the right. So I left that fence up, what had fallen, I drug off.
Well, is that even the fence on the property, or is that Bill's?
Bill or Mr. Davis put the fence there. But what was standing, I left it because it did block the view of the back of that place. If I look to the other side, drums, all kinds of debris is on the left-hand side. So
Which is off the property.
it's I was glad to see it cleaned up, but if you're gonna send me the letter, I need the letter sent next door here and next door here. Let's all get on the same boat and go down the creek together. Let's don't send me something saying that this needs to be done when it needs to be done.
What property are you talking about, sir?
The property on,
Both sides.
let's see, we got Bill's Produce on one side and the, what is the name of that? It used to be a mechanic shop on the left. Now they have one with all the drums and everything else sticking up over there. And now they got some kind of paper products or something in there. So I picked up a pickup load of somebody else's paper going down to the road, going into the salvage yard.
Do you think in 2 weeks you could have that structural report
Should be able
and have a plan together to what you're gonna do?
Well, we can have the structural.
Well, it's hay season for coming up, so I'm gonna be at the farm.
Well, did y'all have insurance on the house when it was vandalized?
We did not.
No, we had just bought the
Just bought the
property.
place. So I didn't get much help out of that.
Well,
I even talked to him, of course, The detective that I had talked to on that particular incident said that it was teenagers. And I said, teenagers need to learn. They can't do that kind of thing. I said, you know, and he said they're from poor families. They don't have any money. I said, fine. Okay, let's get them over there and make them clean up their mess.
Okay, but hold on, there's a difference between Pearl PD not doing their job. Somebody arrested those juveniles, but the juvenile court, if they were not forced to provide, if they were not forced to make payment back for the estimated cost, that's not on Pearl PD.
Right, but I don't even think they went to court. I wasn't ever notified about any court.
You wouldn't be in
hearing.
juvenile court.
It's juvenile.
It's juvenile
it's
court.
private.
You wouldn't be notified.
That's the whole benefit of juvenile
Okay,
court.
so they have no liability, their parents have no liability.
Absolutely, you can sue them civilly.
Yep.
But you can pursue that charges and you can contact the youth court and they can tell you, and then ultimately you can pursue civilly against the parents because the parents are responsible for the actions of their children in short terms.
But Pearl PD can't release that. You'd have to go through youth court to get that information.
Well, I said, let's get them over there and let them clean up. And of course he said, well, that's a liability. I said, well, let the parents sign a waiver, you know. And I've been over there picking up glass, little shards of glass, which is from how many windows?
All the windows.
Busted out. And plus it was the old windows, you know, with the wood panes and all. They didn't just bust the glass out, they busted the wood out and everything. So it has to have all new windows.
I guess what I'm asking is, do you have any plans of fixing the house?
I think the house looks fine now. Has anybody seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks fine at all.
No, I don't either.
I don't think it looks fine at all, sir. I can tell you. I don't think it looks fine at all. I've seen the pictures. I've been by there.
We've got pictures.
We have pictures of it dated up yesterday.
What I'm seeing is not looking good at all.
The front of it looked good to me. The back of it, I'm seeing that.
I mean, it's got.
All right, let me say this, and I'm not trying to be rude, but it's obvious y'all don't have a plan for the residents. So I'm gonna bring our chief building official up and see what his recommendation is at this time, okay?
All right, well, we're gonna air it all out. I gave the city, when they put the sewer through the place, I told them, I said, well, went up there and took them the key to the gate and told them, just do what you're gonna do. I just ask that you clean up when you leave. They dumped a lot of gravel, parked a lot of equipment, rutted up the place. I didn't have a problem with that. But I have a culvert that goes up under them, from one side to the other side that goes down to the ditch. They backed the concrete trucks up there and cleaned them out. Run the concrete down into a culvert. I came up here to the place and asked them, told them what went on. I'd like to have it cleaned up, or just put the culvert in, do whatever you need to do. I have had no response from that.
When did you report that?
When it first happened, when I gave them permission to do it.
When was that?
That's been quite some time.
Yeah, you've never been in my office.
Sir?
Never been in my office reporting it.
That was before your time.
That's right, that's 5 years.
You see where I'm coming from?
But look, I'm not,
I haven't had much
I understand.
success out of it.
Yeah, well, first of all, the first success was the fact that our police officers did their job. Youth court is restricted because they can't release information. I mean, Pearl PD cannot. So we did our job on that. And I'm not going to sit here and have the blame game placed on it. So at this time, I'm going to ask you to have a seat. I'm going to ask Brad Robertson to come up.
Come on, Brad.
Yeah, back when we noticed the property, police department asked us to put this property before the mayor and board. Because this is a nuisance for them. They have got squatters out of the house. The property was unsightly. You have cleaned it up, ain't no doubt. All around the exterior of the property is cleaned up. The exterior of the home has significant rot on it. My recommendation would be, let's repair the rot. The property is not secured right now.
This property is secured, it's locked.
Right, it's got secured, but we got felt paper nailed up over the windows.
That's, the new plastic roofing that's put up.
Right.
Nailed up to it.
That's right. But I mean, to
So Brad, your recommendation is to repair it or to adjudicate it and put a time frame on it?
right.
That's my recommendation to the board.
And what repairs exactly are we talking about?
All the rotten wood, that sort of thing on the exterior. And, you know, getting it secured, getting windows in it.
Well, we've got the windows closed up and nobody can get in.
Would they do a bust right back out?
Well, I mean, that's the,
That's
you know.
why we haven't put any windows, till we can figure out, get somebody in it.
But you're not going to get anybody in it in that shape.
No, you're not. And you're not going to be in compliance.
You're gonna have to fix the house.
Well,
to get
there's not a
somebody
catch,
in there.
there's not a catch-22. Is anybody here to speak in opposition to this? Anybody here to speak in opposition? Is there a motion by the board?
So moved, I give them 60 days.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. Brad?
They just need more time.
Brad, if you would, make sure that you schedule time with the Tim's family and walk them through what they need to get in compliance on. Okay? It'll be torn down then. It'll be torn down if it's this fall.
Number 7, determine whether or not that certain parcel of real property owned by Annie J. Myers and located at 513 Old Whitfield Road, Pearl, Rankin County, Mississippi 39208 is in such a condition or state as to be unsightly and unkept or otherwise a menace to the public health and safety of the community, and therefore prohibited pursuant to Chapter 24 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pearl, Mississippi, and Section 21-1911 of the Mississippi Code of 1972 as amended.
Hey, man, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing great.
Good. You tell us what's going on with the property at this location.
Basically, my brother that was keeping it up, he passed, and one day I've been on the road working, and I came in and seen his letter, my mom.
Trudy, I can't hear you, man. You got to put that down.
Basically.
There you go. Sounds a little better.
Yeah, basically, my brother that was keeping his land up, he passed away. And my mom really ain't been able to do it because she's kind of been in the state, and I was on the road, and I actually found the notice. She didn't even know. So basically what we need is more time to go ahead and finish it. We're going to finish it, and we're going to fix it. Whatever need to be done, we're going to go ahead and do. We just need the time to do it.
Yeah.
So.
How much time you need, Trudy?
I'm going to say, realistically, about 90 days. I'm thinking should be enough time to get a good carpenter to go ahead and do what he need to do in there and go ahead and finish it,
You already replaced the wiring inside the house, correct?
Yeah, that's been done. And basically with this COVID, a lot of people, it's hard to get people because a lot of people are sick, and you just gotta wait in line for them to come do what they need to be doing, to be honest with you. The people that you know that's good is gonna do what they're supposed to do, We went in there and cleaned up most of all the stuff around it.
Did the house burn?
Yeah, it burned, so we got a lot of stuff out, a lot of stuff that we come down around and cleaned that up, and still in the process now.
But it's something you think you can salvage?
Yeah, the house structurally is in pretty good shape, but it's squashed up in the inside, but the physical part of it, the wood structure part is real good on it. Let's
go check it
We cleaned the sheetrock out and replaced fish out first, had to look electric stuff down, but basically just having time to do it, we'll go ahead and finish it out.
Yeah, I've already talked to Brad about this
Yeah,
structure.
Brad said they've come in
I'm gonna go ahead and
compliance.
make a motion that we give them 90 days.
All right, there's two, anyway, like James was talking about, Brad has said that this property is coming into compliance, they've done some work, they're heading in the right direction. So, there's two motions on the floor for 90 days.
Are we continuing it?
Continuing it.
Continuing it. So that's going to be to August the 17th.
August 17th. That'll work for you?
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All right. So there's this further discussion of this. Is there anybody that's opposed to it? All right. With that being said, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Number 8, determine whether or not that certain parcel of real property owned by Rankin County Rentals LLC care of J.C. Enterprises LLC and located at 1100 Pearson Road, Pearl, Rankin County, Mississippi, 39208, is in such a state or such a condition or state as to be unsightly and unkept or otherwise a menace to the public health and safety of the community, and therefore prohibited pursuant to Chapter 24 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pearl, Mississippi, and Section 21-1911 of the Mississippi Code of 1972 as amended.
Is anyone here to speak about 1100 South Pearson Road? All right.
Yeah, my name is Leon Dye, and I'm the manager of that property. And since they came out and gave me that notice, we put siding on that one trailer. They said there's some siding coming off, and it was scheduled to be done, but they got there a little bit before I got it done. So, and then the other one was a window pane that was out of a trailer that right now is does not have a tenant, and we have it. Of course, we will fix that when we got in there to get it ready to rent. So I've completed the task that they told me to at the time they came out.
Okay. What's your plans for these trailers? They're non-conforming. We have problems with several things, and I'm going to let our chief building official come up here and talk about that.
Okay.
But Mr. Dye, I just want to say for the record, you have a history of not being in compliance within the city of Pearl outside of those trailers in that particular area as far as your properties go.
Out there?
Yeah, we've had to bring, there's some trailers right here behind City Hall that we've had to get you to come into compliance, and we shouldn't have to ask you to do that.
And we got it done, so.
I mean, you make your living doing this, correct?
What's that?
Renting
Yes,
trailers.
I manage about 75 units.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Brad, can you come up and speak about 1100 South Pearson Road?
How many trailers are out there?
3.
Is this the last three?
The last.
It's a different parcel from Pearl Richland when they bought right away.
Yeah, like I say, these properties, they're unsightly and unkept, This is right when you enter from the south into our city. This is your first view you see. They're manufactured homes that are unsightly, unkept in a C3 zoning. They're non-conforming with our zoning. I would recommend that the board take action and have them removed.
Okay.
Are they occupied?
I believe 2 of them.
All 3 of
I
them?
have 2 units out there that's unoccupied this time.
Repeat that again.
He has 2 units not occupied.
2 units not?
Just for the board too, this is a legal question as far as you have existing residents in trailers, or the trailer that's out there. Brendan, I'll let you handle this.
Ultimately, whatever action the board takes, y'all can take action due to the property not being in compliance and being a nuisance and unsightly and unkept and all those things, right? Y'all can take action. Ultimately, if there's tenants, the landowner, our duty is to the landowner, which we've given notice. Mr. Dye is here, and he's represented, obviously, that he knows that we're having a hearing and y'all are going to potentially take action. So our duty is not to the tenants, our duty is to the landowner, which Mr. Dye would ultimately have any responsibility to the tenants. So if the board takes action, ultimately that responsibility, whatever that action may be, that if it is to remove the structures or whatever, Mr. Dye would have that responsibility to impress that upon his tenants to make sure that would be their deal. That would not be the city's deal.
And that would be due to the
requirement is on the property owner.
That would be to the fact that it's non-conforming and violates our zoning, correct?
Well,
Too. Also, on the fact, because of those reasons as well, that's why he's not coming into conformity at all. That's why they would be evicted from the locations.
Well, we're not, the city.
I'm not saying, I'm saying from him because of those particular reasons, though.
And I think ultimately, though, they're blighted, they're unkept, they're a nuisance. And in essence, if you look at the pictures, I think the board can see the pictures. They have numerous issues And I think Brad can speak to those issues, ultimately make a recommendation to the board whether or not to remove or replace or allow time or whatever.
Mr. Dye, you live in Pearl?
I live in Brandon.
You live in Brandon. You want that in front of your house? You want those in front of your house looking like that?
I have 30.
In front of your house looking like that?
Right there in my house.
Brad, hold on, Brad. Hold on a second, Mr. Gill. Hold on a second, Mr. Gill. Brad, I want you to explain, because we made a visit out to Mr. Dye's house. And he said that he does have a trailer park there at his house, and that trailer park is kept.
They don't resemble anything like this down here.
Right. So they don't resemble anything that's on South Pierce.
I disagree with that, but I heard it like it. But, you know.
Okay. All right. But I don't think that there's any,
The city owns the right product, and they don't cut their grass.
this cut right now, Mr. Dye. Mr. Dye's cut right now. This bush hog right now. Thank you, Brad. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this? Mr. Dye said his piece, the city has said its piece. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion, we uphold the recommendation for community development.
Second.
Second. There's two motions. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
And what was this motion, sir?
Motion carried to proceed with the 21-19-11 demolition process of those non-conforming trailers. You can do that yourself, or the city will do it and assess it to your property. Okay? All right, thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, I don't think we have any other business this evening. Tonight, we've had two requests about Alderman McHenry, and there might be some additional ones, but we recently had a Mr. Mike Deere pass away within the city limits of Pearl. As always, our thoughts and prayers go out to these families, and we do this just to acknowledge them and acknowledge the heavy impact that they've made on many lives. So at this time, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. All right, first and second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. This meeting's adjourned.